absolutely nothing
about Indonesia apart from Bali.
I think I know the capital, Jakarta.
I don't know anything about the culture or the people.
Their food, everything.
I have a special connection to Indonesia. Well, not me personally, but my grandmother was born in Indonesia.
I am excited to learn more about Indonesia.
Alright, so again, if you don't know anything about Indonesia, it's basically like if the Middle East and South Asia had an incredibly colorful, loud, somewhat explosive set of babies. Like thousands of them. Okay, this will really help. First of all, Indonesia is the world's largest archipelago nation located right where the Indian Ocean meets the Pacific Ocean on the incredibly clustered set of islands making 6 countries known commonly as Nusantara or the Malay Archipelago. Indonesian Archipelago. Indonesia actually has land borders with 3 of these countries, East Timor, Papua New Guinea, and Malaysia, on the biggest island, Borneo, or Kalimantan, which is one of the world's two triple split nation islands, the other one being Cyprus. Although technically if you include the UN buffer zone, it's like 4 entities, but the UN isn't a country, whatever, just watch the Cyprus episode. The country is divided into 34 provinces, 5 of which have special administrative statuses.
Wow.
The capital and most populous city, Jakarta, located on Java, the world's most populous island with nearly half of the entire population
Wait, all the white here is Indonesia?
of Indonesia. In its largest cities after Jakarta are Surabaya and Bandung, located on Java Island, and Medan, located on Sumatra. Jakarta Soekarno Hatta International, Bali's Ngurah Rai International, and
Woo! Look at that. That's an airport. Look at that, perfectly manicured, sitting in the ocean. Jeez.
Pansar, and Surabaya's Juanda International. Now here's where things get a little speculative. Today, there are still arguments claimed as to exactly how many islands Indonesia has. The National Coordinating Agency for Surveying and Mapping says Indonesia has about 13,500. National Institute of Aeronautics and Space Agency says that it has about 18,300, whereas the Indonesian government claims about 17,500. But wherever the point is, there's a lot of them.
That is so many. What?
8,800 have names, and over 900 of them are permanently inhabited. You would think they are the country with the most islands, but surprisingly Finland and Canada beat them. But a lot of their islands are kind of like little islands in the lakes, so does it really count?
Nah.
I guess. Now let's talk about the 5 special administrative provinces. They are Aceh, Yogyakarta, West Papua and Papua, and the capital Jakarta. Now, no surprise, the capital Jakarta acts as its own political entity. Lots of countries do that. But what about the others? First, Aceh. Aceh is kind of like the black sheep of Indonesia. It's the only province in which Sharia law is fully implemented. Also, they kind of have like a ton of oil, so yeah, they've kind of asserted a very independent ideology that sets them apart as autonomous from the rest of Indonesia. Then you have Yogyakarta, which is the only region that is still governed by a pre-colonial
Oh my god, it looks beautiful. Wow.
Yeah.
monarchy. The Sultan of Yogyakarta, who acts as a hereditary governor. Otherwise, we get the 2 Papuas, which collectively used to be the province called Irian Jaya, but then in 2003 they got split into 2. Basically, this is the place that has the least in common with the rest of Indonesia. It has a culture and background closer to their cousins across the border in Papua New Guinea. So then why is this part of Indonesia?
Politics must be a mess.
Well, long story short, Indonesia was basically like, well, now that we have our full sovereignty, we get everything that the Dutch colonized. But the people of Papua were not too happy, so then Indonesia was like, alright, we'll give you a vote to stay or leave. However, we would strongly implore you to make the right decision. So they're going to take in. A lot of people complained. There's still some current opposition, and to this day, the area has a relatively high level of autonomy.
I don't know what that was, a country, a town, or a city that had full-blown Sharia as a Muslim law, and one of them had full-blown monarchy. It's amazing. I didn't know that. I really got goosebumps for that.
Autonomy, and the government kind of just leaves them alone except for when it comes to mining for resources. Oh, and the South Maluku area also kind of has like an independence dispute thing kind of going on, but the major opponents to the Indonesian government are primarily based in the Netherlands. Then you have the strange Riau Islands, which look like they should belong to Malaysia, but they don't, even though they have a strong Malay-derived culture. Then you have the Ambalat Sea Block, which has a ton of oil that both they and Malaysia argue over. So that essentially covers most of the administrative divisions of Indonesia. Some of the most notable spots of interest in Indonesia might include the National Monument and Museum, Royal Keraton Yogyakarta Palace,
Royal Keraton Yogyakarta Palace,
Ratu Boko, the Magelang and chicken-shaped churches.
Why?
Magelang and chicken-shaped churches. Borobudur, the largest Buddhist temple in the world. Maimun Palace. Ansari Underground Mosque. The Equator Monument.
Wow.
The Pura Ulun Danube.
Underground mosque.
The Equator Monument. The Pura Ulun Danu Bratan Lake Temples. Yeah, try to say that 5 times fast. Pura Ulun Danu...
Pura Ulun Danu Bratan, Puru Alun Danu Bratan, Puru Alu Danu Bratan. Okay, he's right. It's a little bit hard.
Batan Lake, the Millennium Bridge, the Sacred Monkey Temple, the Hellmouth or Elephant Cave,
Oh, I've heard about the Sacred Monkey Temple. I don't know anything about it.
the 7-story pagoda of Cebu, the smoked mummy villages of Aikim and Jiwika in Papua, or if you're lazy, you can just go to the Taman Mini Indonesia Indah Park, which kind of has like a bunch of replicas of all the famed sites in Indonesia. Oh, and keep in mind, there's Dutch colonial-style buildings all over, too many ancient temples and pagodas to list. But no matter how many buildings and landmarks are built, they will never compare to what Mother Nature has done. Which brings us to... Indonesia's land is like that one ex we all had back in our 20s that we trusted a stupid friend to hook us up with. Super attractive, but almost killed you a few times. Indonesia lies on what is known as the prehistoric continental shelf known as Sundaland, which during the Ice Age times pretty much connected all of the islands together before the Wallace Line until the ice melted and filled in the gaps. Now this is where things get incredibly messed up. Not only is Indonesia right in the worst part of the Ring of Fire, but the country is basically smashed between 3 converging major continental plates. The Eurasian, the Pacific, and the Australian plates, with dozens of minor plates and rifts like the Sunda, Timor, Banda, Molucca, and so on. This in return gives Indonesia over 400 volcanoes, disputably more than any in the world, with over 150 active ones, making it the most volcanically active country in the world as well. This means on a daily basis, Indonesia experiences on average about 4 earthquakes a day, ranging anywhere between the small, timid 3...
4 a day? Did he say 4 a day?
Oh my
That's
gosh!
so
Look
scary.
at that road.
Oh my gosh.
A day?
I've never experienced a single earthquake in my life. I live in Sweden, we don't have earthquakes.
The small, timid 3 to a noticeable 6 on the Richter scale. And you never know where or when they will happen. Impressive. Wow. Nonetheless, volcanoes can be a good thing, especially when concentrated close to the equator, as the warmer, humid climate allows moisture and minerals to coalesce, creating some of the most fertile land on the planet. This is why places like Hawaii and Iceland are so radically different despite both being volcanic islands. In the end, Indonesia got blessed with a flourishing abundance of flora and fauna, the second highest concentration in the world after Brazil, many of which being endemic species like the Rafflesia arnoldi and the Titan arum, the largest flowers in the world, which each smell like rotting corpses.
Oh, yo!
Corpses. And at over 180, they also have the highest concentration of mammals out of anywhere in the world. Nonetheless, the national animal is actually a reptile, the largest in the world, at 3 meters long, the famous Komodo dragon, which you can find a bunch of on Komodo Island, which is where they get their name from, and they can kill people. Just a heads up. And the surprisingly not national animal, even though everybody knows and loves them, the only great ape in Asia, orangutans, are only found on this archipelago as well.
Really?
By the way, they look docile and quiet, but orangutans can rip off your arm if you anger them. So don't. Otherwise, the largest mountain, Puncak Jaya, is located in the east in Papua. The longest river, the Kapuas, flows on Kalimantan, or Borneo Island, starting in the east, emptying into the South China Sea. The largest lake, as well as the largest volcanic lake in the world, Lake Toba, can be found on Sumatra. This is also the site of the largest speculated volcanic explosive eruption on Earth that has essentially created a worldwide volcanic winter. The eruption was so big that you can literally observe ashes from the explosion that went as far as Malawi in East Africa. Remember, guys, Mother Nature is beautiful, but if she wants, she can kill you. Close to Puncak Jaya is Grasberg, the largest gold and copper mine in the world. And on Mount Ijen on Java, which spews out blue lava, all over you can find intrepid sulfur miners that literally go into the base of the volcanic craters, risking health just to get raw sulfur.